I want to first begin by letting you know that I am glad to be here. I am newly retired myself just 2 years ago, so I'm excited for this retirement process for you to talk with you about your next steps. I'm one of the assistant directors here at NJPSA, along with Rebecca Gold, and many of you know our director, Bob Murphy, who is also here with us today. And we'll be taking your questions and looking to see how we can assist you throughout this process for retirement. Many of you know TPAF, or the Teacher Pension Annuity Fund. It's located at 50 West Street in Trenton. And you see where it's located at. For me, I put it in my GPS the first time. That's how I found it. But it's also an easy key marker. It's right across, diagonally across from the Thomas Edison University. And it's actually one block past the State House, if you know anything about where Trenton locations are. If you're looking to go to meet with a representative at the pension building, you can do so. You can see the information right here on your screen. You can schedule a meeting with representative. The pension appointments are normally about 20 minutes for the consultations, and they get booked pretty fast. So if you have a unique situation, you want to meet with a representative, you should do that as soon as possible if you're looking to retire for the next few months or so. Here at NJPSA, again, we have myself, Rebecca, and Bob, and we all work collaboratively together to meet your needs as members. We provide the same services that the pension representatives provide. We provide actually about an hour for you to discuss and work through any of your concerns regarding options for retirement. And we have multiple times that you can meet with us, not just one time. I actually tell everybody we're with you throughout the entire time of your journey. We have day meetings, in-person meetings, and evening sessions available to accommodate your busy schedule. Member Benefit Online System, MBOSS. The Member Benefit Online System is how we all must retire through. Everyone can only retire online through the MBOSS system. So if you forgot your password or your login, don't worry, we can send you some information on how to retrieve that. But now there's no other option. Everyone must have access to their MBOSS. You can register and use MBOSS at any internet. Today, we're going to talk about the types of retirement. There are 6 types of retirement: service, early, veteran, deferred, and for tiers 1, 2, and 3 is ordinary and accidental disability. So those are the types of we're going to talk about today. Each tier has their own rules and guidelines in terms of when you can retire, and the terms are specific for each tier. Some of the tier windows are relatively short because the legislator, they continue to try to, make adjustments to the reforms. And so each reform is embedded into the formula for each of the tiers. Each of them has its own service retirement age, early retirement, and their own formula based specifically on the reform. Some of them have the same formula and some of them do not. So let's go over some of the details now. As you can see, for service retirement, tier 1 and 2, you have a minimum age of 60. Tiers 3 and 4, minimum age of 62. Tier 5, which is a tier now, a minimum age of 65. There's no minimum amount of membership credit required. That means when you reach that age, you can retire no matter how many years of service you have. For tiers 1, 2, 3, and 3, your benefit is based upon the total years of service in the system divided by 55 and multiplied by the final average salary, or your 3 highest years of salary. For tiers 4 and 5, the benefit is based upon the total years of service in the system divided by 60 and multiplied by the final average salary, or 5 years. Those are the differences. For tier 1, the minimum base salary is $500, and the IRS maximum limit is a little bit under $400,000 or $385,000. For tier 2, the minimum base salary is $500, just like tier 1, but the salary limitation is a little under $161,000 or $160,200. And the defined, do you see? There we go. Oh, hold on one second. I'm admitting somebody else in here. There we go. The defined contribution plan, the defined contribution retirement plan. It is really time, you see, starting with tier 2, and every tier thereafter, there was a limited for the Social Security max for that year. So if last year you had a salary of $160,000 through December, it was only pensionable for $147,000. And then anything over the $147,000, you contributed to the defined contribution retirement plan. 5%, and the pension contribution was 7.5%. Your local employer also had to contribute into the defined contribution retirement plan, and it's the only time your local employer contributes. And they contribute that based on the behalf of the state. Yes, my apologies. You will be able to unmute in a few to ask any questions, and or you can put your questions in the chat also. For tier 3, you see the minimum salary for enrollment is $8,300. Again, the base salary is between $5,000 and $8,200, eligible for the defined contribution retirement plan. And the TPAF salary limitations is $160,200. Next slide. For tiers 4 and 5, it's a little bit different. You're required a minimum of 32 hours per week for local education employees, but no minimum salary is required. For the DCRP, eligible under minimum hours, and you earn at least $8,200. And your salary limitation is a little under $161,000. There is the eligibility over maximum wage limit also for tiers 4 and 5. For salary, well, everybody wants to know about that base salary. The base salary is just that. It's base salary, not any stipend or any extra pay. It's only your base salary, any longevity that you may have had, and any differential for your degrees. It does not include any salary for temporary, if you work temporary for extracurricular activities beyond the school day. So your final average salary is based upon your base salary. I'm going to stop right now and ask if there are any questions real quick in the chat, or if anyone wants to unmute and ask a question, that's fine, before I go on to the personal benefit statement.
There's just one question in the chat right now about retiring tier 1 at 55. Just want to check if they're being penalized for that, for early retirement, or is that not considered early?
No, they can at age 55, there is no penalty to retire. If you have 25 years in and you're age 55, there's no penalty. If you're under 55, there is a penalty for that. And we'll go over that a little bit later.
Okay.
Vincent asks, does it include longevity, your base salary? Yes, your base salary is, longevity is a part of it. You're welcome.
That looks like it.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, all right, let's move on to the personal benefit statement. So everybody should know what their personal benefit statement is. If not, please make sure you go on the emboss and print it out. It's really important for you to know your information. It's updated every quarter. So there are 5 boxes: the account information, the personal information, the estimated benefits, the health benefits, which is the school health benefits program or the school health educators benefits program. Making sure what your salary is as of September 30th in the year. Please make sure that you're looking at that specifically. So if you get a raise in July, the pension will not be reflected until they posted the first quarter report. And if you're looking to retire in that year and you want to do an estimate within your account, once that statement says as of September 30th, 2023, it will know your salary for this year in the last 2 years, and it will give you an accurate estimate of your salary. Always check your salary. Look at the bottom box. Always check the box and make sure the salary listed is your current salary along with longevity, like we just talked about, and your degree. Many of you may get additional monies for your degree advancements. At the very top of the box is your years of service. Remember what quarter you're in. So if you started September 1st, whatever year, with no breaks in service, it will say X amount of years, 0 months. You would have completed a full year of fiscal year. But if you don't have that, then it reflects a break in service. So let's say possibly you had a maternity leave, or you moved to another position, you moved to another district. The way the pension system works, this is important because we always get calls on this. If your statement says number of years and 10 months as of June 30th, you had no break in service, but you moved to another district, or with summer, you maybe moved from 10-month to a 12-month position, your receiving district did not enroll you as an intra-fund transfer and indicate that the district you left from, then you may have a break in service that hopefully you can get back that time. In that case, you can just email us and we can send you an audit letter, and you can send it to the Division of Audit and have them search to give them your history, basically saying, you know what, I had no break in service. I think this is an error. Most of the time when we have our members do that, 95% of the people we help do this, they actually received that time back. So always important to check your information so that it's accurate on your personal benefit statement. The second line that you see is the total contributions line. You'll see the total number of contributions are important because right now it's part of the active member death benefit. Basically, it's just two funds. One is your life insurance, which is 3.5 times your life insurance plus the amount that you paid into the pension fund with interest. You add those two together and you're looking at probably about 700, 800,000 of a death benefit for your beneficiary. The other reason that number is important is that when you retire, if you take the maximum benefit and you and your beneficiary are entitled to get back what you paid into the pension system. So normally it takes about 2 years or so to get that money back. And when you retire, if you were to pass away under maximum, it really isn't any other benefit to your beneficiary. So they'll get back the last check and any funds left over that you paid into the pension system. You will get back, like I just said, takes about 2 years what you paid into the pension system when you retire. The third reason that is important is that when you live in the state of New Jersey for any time, once you retire, you have already been taxed. So you're doing pre-tax right now. You're already paying your pre-state tax on your contributions. So until you collect in pension payments equal to the total contributions that you have, you don't owe the state income tax to the state of New Jersey. If you move out of the state of New Jersey and they do have a state income tax, you don't get any credit from New Jersey for that. So only while you're living here in New Jersey, until you collect back what you paid into the system, you don't have to pay that until it equals out, which takes about 2.5 years after you retire. So I'm going to go over the next two lines. The next two lines will make somebody real happy. Because on your line, if you can go back to the slide one, the first slide, yep. On that line, you'll see they'll determine whether you get free or cost shared health benefits. For Chapter 8, 25-year date will be listed once you reach that service time. For Chapter 78, if you have 20 years in by June 2011, then you have free health benefits. And that's really important. I always tell people to check that, Chapter 8 and Chapter 78. If you don't see that line, once you get to 25 years, you will have cost shared health benefits as a retiree. But if you don't see that line, you will then have free health benefits for Chapter 78. That's really important. And for tiers 1, 2, 3, and 4 members, you qualify for early retirement if you want to take it. Down the bottom, the estimated benefits box. The estimate is based on the projection using only this year's salary when you complete the service retirement age at age 60, 62, or 65. They use that the year service times the salary listed, and they assume that is your final average salary, giving you a monthly amount based on the information in their system. Double check your personal information, which is at the top right-hand box. Please double check the area to make sure that everything is accurate and right. Your full name, your pension fund and member ID, your date of birth. Everyone must now submit their date of birth documentation and emboss electronically to make sure it's right. You can upload your birth certificate, passport. They have specific items you can upload. This is actually a normal practice now. So especially if you're moving from one district to another, they will ask you if you have any proof of age that you can submit to the Division of Pension. This is required. If this is already done, then you already started part of the process. You also see the veteran status there. If you are a veteran and have submitted your information for veteran status, that information will reflect yes in that box area. The next boxes down the bottom are just anything else that you have with the pension. Maybe you have a pension loan or state school employee benefits plan. That information will be in that bottom box. Thank you. Next slide. Your final average salary. Your final average salary for tiers 1, 2, and 3. So the average salary is 3 years immediately preceding your retirement, or 36 months, 12-month contract, or if you have a 10-month contract, it's 30 months, which is the 3 highest fiscal years if your last 3 years are not the highest. Let's say you're an administrator, then you're back into the classroom and your salary change. They're going to use the 3 years that are the highest. For tiers 4 and 5, you see the difference is 60 months or 12-month contracts or 50 months in a 10-month contract. It is the 5 highest fiscal years if your last 5 years are not the highest.
Denise, just one point. In your contract, when you, in your application, when you apply, you have to tell them that the last 3 years or the last 5 years were not your highest. And when you do that, then lines will appear and you have to indicate the fiscal years, not the dollar amounts, but the fiscal years that were higher.
Good point. That's correct. Thank you, Bob. Calculating the maximum allowance for tiers. So there's a formula, as we talked about before. Years of service divided by 55 for tiers 1, 2, and 3 times the final average salary. That's going to equal your maximum allowance. For example, if you have 35 years of service times $100,000, which is your final average salary, divided by 55 equals to 63.6%, which times 100,000, which is the $63,636. That's for tiers 1, 2, and 3. For tiers 4 and 5, same information, and you see the difference for tiers 1, 2, and 3 versus 4 and 5. The 63,636 versus the 58,333. And there you see the differences in the reform. And as you're getting older for tier 5, they're going to be using the tier 5 formula, which is currently for those in tier 5. Early retirement. Somebody just asked that question. That was an excellent question, actually, because we get that question all the time. Remember, it's really important that you know early retirement is for anyone who's 55 and over. But you see the tiers, you must meet the number of years required for your tier. So for tiers 1, 2, 3, and 4, that's at least 25 years, right? Let's say you worked out of state. The out of state service, if it's part of your 25 years, you purchase your years of service. You need 25 years of New Jersey service to qualify for early retirement in order to qualify for health benefits. Okay.
You're freezing, Denise.
You qualify. Say it again, I'm sorry.
You're freezing. I don't know that anybody else heard what you were saying about the years of service.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. You missed all of that? Okay, let me go back. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Good. My apologies. So again, early retirement is you need at least 25 years of service in tiers 1, 2, 3, and 4 in order to qualify for early retirement. You need at least 30 years in tier 5 to qualify for early retirement. You need 25 years to qualify for cost share health benefits. For tier 1, if you're before age 55, the allowance is permanently reduced by 0.25% per month. Under age 55 for 3% per year. If you're in tier 2, the before allowance is 60, the allowance is permanently reduced by 1/12 of 1% per month under age 60 or 1% a year. But before age 55, the allowance is permanently reduced by 0.25% per month under age 55 or 3% per year. Tier 3 and 4, you see the numbers are going up regarding the age. Before age 62, the allowance permanently reduced by 1/12 of 1% per month under age 62. And through age 55, 1% per year. But before age 55, the allowance is permanently reduced by 3% per year. Or, excuse me, 0.25% per month under age 55. That's for tiers 3 and 4. Tier 5, before age 65, the allowance is permanently reduced by 3% per year, or 0.25% per month under the age of 65. So let's stop right there, ask if anybody has any questions.
Let's put this up because this will summarize it.
Okay, we do have a couple questions. Hold on just a second.
Mhm.
Let me scroll back a little bit. Hold on.
And what I just spoke about, here's a summary. For each of the tiers 1 through 5, you see the service age required. You see the early, the years needed for early retirement. And the penalty, the 3% penalty or the 1% penalty if it qualifies, and the Social Security max.
Okay, someone wants to know if they took a month for maternity leave with no pay, do they have to buy that month back?
Yes.
If they took them off, they can buy it back, yes.
So also, if you draw down on the amount you pay, hold on a second, pay in, they give you that to plan. I'm sorry, Sonia, can you unmute yourself and repeat this question? Because I'm not sure that I quite understand it as I'm trying to read it here.
Hi, sorry, that it was relevant when we were talking about it. What I was asking is, so when I look at my statement every year, is that calculated on the highest 3 years then and there? Or is it when I put in for the retirement papers, then I have to say, wait a minute, that my last 3 years were not my highest, and then it gets recalculated?
Are you
Is that
talking,
correct?
are you talking about your emboss statement?
Correct.
Your emboss statement, that estimate is based on your current salary, period.
Okay, so not the highest 3.
No,
No, you have to
All right.
tell them if it's not your highest 3 years. There's a little button that you'll see on that emboss page. They'll say if it's not your highest 3 years, and they'll
Okay.
calculate it that way.
And then my other question is, because of the tax thing. So I retire, I'm getting my pension. Are they telling me how much I'm drawing down on what I've already paid taxes on as I get my, so
No.
I have to keep calculating that myself to
yes,
decide when to move out of New Jersey?
yes. You're gonna get a statement when you do retire. We're kind of jumping ahead, but you're gonna get a statement when you do retire. That's gonna tell you what your total contributions were into the pension system and what your monthly payment is. Divide the monthly payment into the total contributions, and you'll know exactly how many months before you need to start having tax withholding for New Jersey, and put something in your calendar somewhere to remind you that's when you need to start the either start the contributions or move out of state.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no
Okay.
problem.
All right, does the death benefit lower as you collect your pension?
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Mhm.
Okay, hold on one sec.
I'm admitting more people than as you're going
Yeah.
through that. Yeah.
Is there a reason the service years for tier 1 are 60 and not 55?
Yes,
Yes, that,
because by law, the service retirement age was established by law. And the age 55 was an age that was used for early retirement with no penalty initially. And then as they kept changing the law for each of the tiers, they put a minor penalty between 55 and the service retirement age.
okay. I don't, do you see anything else, Chrissy? I don't think I see it right now.
I don't think so. That's everything.
I
We'll
have,
come back if we missed you, don't worry.
okay. For veterans retirement for tiers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's available to qualified veterans in active employment until retirement age. Your benefits cannot be deferred. Yes, we're going to send the link of the recording, yes. And remember, for any veteran, make sure that you have submitted your discharge papers, your DD 214. You should do it as soon as possible. If you hold an honorable discharge from the military service of the United States during any recognized periods, which is the combat periods. Continuing in TPAF and covered employment until at least age 60 with 20+ years of service credit, or at least 55 with 25+ years of service credit. You're entitled to the annual benefit of 54.5% of the salary on which pension contributions were made in any consecutive 12-month period. So it's really for the year, not for the 3 years or 5 years like the other tiers, but for veterans retirement, it's a little bit different. And they're looking at which will provide you the largest possible benefit. They're going to run different scenarios for you because they want you to receive the largest benefit possible. Number age 55 with 35 years of service credit, you're entitled to an annual allowance based on the formula, the years of service divided by 55 times the highest consecutive 12 months of salary, which equals the maximum annual allowance. So veterans, please make sure that you put your information in. Your veteran may retire on service retirement if it would result in a higher benefit. And we'll run all those different scenarios for you. For deferred retirement, well, deferred retirement, 10 years of service credit and not just age 60. So you need 10 years of service credit and not age 60. People keep asking, can they defer to 55? You cannot. You get your first deferment check after you turn 60, actually the first month after you turn 60 for your birthday. Retirement effective the first of the month after obtaining the age, your tiers 1 and 2, you collect the age 60. Again, the numbers times divide by 55 times your 3 years. Tier 3 at age 62, tier 4 at age 62, and tier 5 at age 65. Somebody asked about the age, but that's it. But tier 5, remember, is the number divided by 60 times the 5 years. And at tier 4, make sure that you're looking at the correct tier. That makes a difference. Each of the tiers has its own formula and its own guidelines. The allowance for deferred retirement is based upon the service formula, and you have to file an application in order for you to qualify. Life insurance is not in effect from termination until deferred retirement becomes effective. So until you actually get the deferment, which is 60 a month after your 60th birthday, your life insurance is not in effect. Death between termination and retirement effective results in return of contributions with interest. There is no other death benefit. And there are state health benefit restrictions with less than 25 years. 25 or more years are eligible for the health benefits coverage when they retire age 60 or later.
Can we just stress one thing, that if you were to pass away, if you have filed a deferred retirement and you do not reach that, you pass away before you reach age 60 or 62, whatever your service retirement age is, and you were planning to leave a benefit to a beneficiary, one of the options that Denise is going to go over, they would not get that. That's one of the concerns for people who take a deferred retirement, that if they were leaving a survivor benefit and they pass away before they officially retire and receive that first pension check, there is no survivor benefit for a payment for life to a beneficiary. Okay.
Thanks, Bob. For ordinary disability, we talked a little bit before, they're only for tiers 1, 2, and 3. You had to have an active pension account, 10+ years of credit service in New Jersey. So again, remember we talked about the New Jersey service, 10+ years of New Jersey service credit. And you have to be totally and permanently disabled for the performance of your job. The annual benefit is 43.6% of the final average salary, or 1.64% of the final average salary for each year of the service credit, the service or the early retirement, whichever may be higher. The process is long, it takes about 6 to 8 months. So that's really important for you to think about. We've talked to several clients regarding that. Workers' compensation and Social Security disability have no bearing on your TPAF disability retirement. And tier 4 and tier 5, the benefit outlined above is not available, but members may be eligible for the disability insurance coverage we're going to talk about now. Accidental disability retirement, again, tiers 1, 2, and 3 only. For tiers 4 and 5, the disability insurance coverage. Active member on or before the date of a traumatic event and at the time of filing. It's considered permanently, you're considered permanently and totally disabled as a result of a traumatic event. I think Bob and I talked a little bit before about maybe somebody tripped over a sidewalk or something. We haven't seen those cases to be move forward when they're considered permanently and totally disabled as a result of a traumatic event that identifies to the time and place, undesigned and unexpected by a cause, circumstance external to the member. And it's occurring during and as a result of the member's regular and assigned duties, not any willful negligence or mental or physical incapacitated from performing any other duty. But you have to file within 5 years of the traumatic event. The TPAF provides examinations by physicians and 72.7% of the base salary at the time of the traumatic event. So let's say that your traumatic event happened and then for years later, you were getting worse. They would just go by the 72.7% of the base salary at the time that the traumatic event occurred. Pension options. Everybody wants to know what are those pension options and why are there so many? Well, the pension options to consider your health, your beneficiary's health, your need to provide survivor benefits, your life insurance benefits available, your income from other sources such as Social Security benefits, investments, things of that nature. So those are the things you should consider when you're looking to see what pension option you're going to select. Because once you select it, after you get and cash your first pension check, you cannot change it. I just said that. Once you made your choice, you cannot change your benefit option after you received your first and cash your first pension check. So up until, I say I retired July 1st, August 1st, I didn't get my pension check yet, I can still change my option up to that point. We have 9 pension options, 9. The maximum, I think we talked a little bit about it earlier. There's no pension benefit to the beneficiary, except the last check. For options 1, you're reducing your out of the reserve to the beneficiary. Options 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, and D. You get a smaller monthly benefit based on the life expectancy of you and your beneficiary at the time of the retirement. Your beneficiary must be an individual. Can't be a charity or institution or an estate or beneficiary. So the maximum option. Many asked about the maximum option. There's no pension benefits again to the beneficiary. you get paid the highest retirement benefit. The benefit ends when you pass away upon your death. The death before receiving your contributions include the interest paid, the balance paid to the beneficiary. For options A, B, C, D, so this is what we always explain. A, B, C, D, we call pop-up, because if your beneficiary dies before you do, you will go back up to the maximum. So there's a joint and survivor benefit for options A, B, C, D. It provides a lifetime benefit to you. The living beneficiary at the time of your death receives your selected option benefit. If your beneficiary dies before you do, upon retirement allowances, it increases back to the maximum option. You can only name one beneficiary, and the beneficiary can never be changed after the retirement. So you have to really be careful when you're choosing your pension option. Options other than the maximum. So we said you have options A, B, C, D. As you can see, the changes in it for 100%, 75, 50, and 25%. It increases, and that's to the beneficiary, and then increases to the maximum. So each of those, if your beneficiary died before you do, your benefit goes back up to the maximum. Option 1 is reduced from the maximum. It's a lifetime monthly payment to you. You may provide a lump sum to the beneficiary. It sets up a reserve, so it comes out the reserve, which is reduced every month by a monthly allowance. Any balance paid to the beneficiary at the time of your death, if there's any balance that's there. You can name more than one beneficiary for option 1, and you can change the beneficiary at any time. That's the difference. For options 2, 3, and 4, there's a joint survivor benefit, and it provides a lifetime benefit to you. The living beneficiary at the time of your death receives the selected option benefit that's outlined under that tier, under that pension option. If your beneficiary dies before you do, you continue to receive the reduced retirement allowance. There's no pop-up. So you receive the exact same amount you've been receiving. The beneficiary for this can never be changed after retirement for options 2, 3, and 4. Option 2, permanent reduction. 100% joint and survivor benefit, the lifetime payment to you. If your beneficiary living at the time of your death, 100% of their monthly retirement allowance. You can name one beneficiary, and you cannot change the beneficiary. Similar to option A, except if the beneficiary dies before you do, your allowance does not increase. And option 3, permanent reduction, 50%. Now, I mean, 50%, join the survivor benefit, lifetime payment to you. Again, if the beneficiary living at the time of your death, 1/2 of your monthly retirement allowance. You can name one beneficiary, but you can't change the beneficiary. Similar to option C, because except if the beneficiary dies before you, your allowance does not increase. And option 4, permanent reduction and lifetime payment to you. If the beneficiary living at the time of your death receives the monthly retirement allowance, you decide not more than your allowance. You can name one or multiple beneficiaries. You cannot change the beneficiary. If your beneficiary dies before you, your allowance does not increase. So before we move on to the pension calculation sample, are there any questions regarding the pension options?
Yes, there's a few questions. I'm just gonna start at the bottom and work my way back. If you name a co-beneficiary or alternate beneficiary, do they have to be within a certain number of years of your own age?
Well, generally we say about 20 years. Remember, if you name a beneficiary who's younger, so this is how I identify it. If I am this age and I name my child, well, after, of course, I'm going to go way before my child goes, and my child's going to receive benefits for the remainder of their lifetime. Well, that's going to significantly reduce your benefits because of the age difference. So about 20 years, I believe, is the allowance if you want to see even distribution for you and your beneficiary.
Okay.
Oops.
Someone wants to know how they can see their emboss data once their retirement has been state approved. Like, how do they go in their MBOS account and look at their application without making changes?
How could they go, they can look at the inbox information at any time without making any changes. Your inbox account will show you your personal benefit statement.
Once you go into, once you file an application, you can constantly go back into that application and merely look at your statement and turn your computer off. If you don't do anything, once you're on that page, it doesn't change. You don't have to say anything. The amount will, your application will be there for you to look at.
Okay, last question for now. Someone wants to know if they're tier 1 and retire at 55. Is healthcare coverage included or not until they're 60?
Healthcare is included if they have 25 years of service, then they have cost shared health benefits. If they have 20 years of service by June 2011, then they have free health benefits. That's why I said it's important to look on your personal benefit statement, see if you have chapter 8 or chapter 78.
Okay, that's all the questions we have now, unless someone is furiously typing in the chat. Nope, they're gonna have to wait till later.
Okay, great. I'm gonna ask, Bob's gonna share this slide with us regarding the details of the calculations.
Okay, this may answer a number of your questions about the various options. This is an example of what an estimate will be when you do an estimate to see what would my retirement benefit be for each of the options. If you notice, this person has 35 years of service. They had a final average salary of $100,000. The retiree is at age 59. The beneficiary is age 58. The reason the ages are important, your age makes a difference in this entire page. If you had two people with the same salaries, but their ages were different from yours, their report is going to look different. The only thing that would be the same is maximum, because maximum is based on the formula. It's your years of service over 55 times your final average salary. So when you look at maximum here, $63,636, everything on this page is a factor of maximum based on your age and the age of your beneficiary. Okay, so let's start in the left column. With option 1, the only reduction factor is the age of the retiree. The beneficiary, you can name 10 beneficiaries as beneficiaries with option 1. Their age doesn't come into play at all. Option 1 many times is used by people who are looking to give the beneficiary a brother or sister, or their children, if they're a single parent, or even not a single parent. They want to leave the money to their kids rather than a spouse. Okay. With option 1, in this case, it's 97.3% of maximum based on this person's age of 59. If this person were 55 or even under 55, it would be higher than 97%. The age would make that kind of a difference. So you're now looking at a pension of $61,000, $61,917, and the reserve that is listed there is what would be paid to the beneficiary if you passed away. Every month, that $5,159 pension payment under option 1 would be subtracted from the reserve. That reserve is eventually going to get to zero somewhere between 8.5 to 10 years. But if you passed away 5 years after you retire, there's going to be a reserve worth about $300,000. That's what would be paid to your beneficiary. If you passed away in 11 years, there's not going to be any money left in the reserve. There would be no money paid to your beneficiaries. Okay. Option 2 is 100% of your benefit would go to your beneficiary if you passed away first. If you look at this one, it's an 86.5% of maximum. That's because of your age, the age of the beneficiary and the retiree. You're looking at a pension that's $45.87 a month. It's about $800 less than maximum. That's because they are assuming they're going to be paying the beneficiary or the retiree longer than the estimate that they would have if it was just the beneficiary. If the beneficiary passes away, I'm sorry, if the retiree passes away, the beneficiary will receive the same amount, $45.87. Under this option, if the beneficiary passed away, there would be no change in the retiree's amount. It would stay at $45.87, different from what we're going to talk about in a second with the pop-ups. With option 3, now it's 50% to the beneficiary. Your pension will be a little higher than it was in option 2 because you're leaving less to the beneficiary. In this case, now your pension is $5,1111 a month. If you passed away, your beneficiary would receive half of that, or $25.05. If your beneficiary passed away, your pension wouldn't change. Okay? Option 4, we really didn't talk much about it in that slide. If you have a divorce decree and you have an ex who receives a portion of your pension by law, you must take option 4. And we encourage you always, if that's the case, to go to the Division of Pensions, because they're the only ones who can do the calculation for what your ex would be receiving as part of your pension. Now, on the right side, you have the pop-ups, the lettered options. All of these function the same way. There's an amount for the retiree. There's a percentage of the retiree's benefit that would be for the beneficiary. And if the beneficiary passes away, the retiree jumps to maximum. So we're going to go through each of those quickly. With option A, it is the smallest pension on this page for you because it is the largest pension your beneficiary can receive from your pension. With option A, you would have a 45-34 pension. If you passed away, your beneficiary would get the same 45-34. However, if they passed away first, you would jump from 45-34 up to 5303. With option B, same process. Your pension would be, your beneficiary would receive 75% of your pension. So your pension is going to be a little higher than it was with option A. It's up to 47-46. If you pass away, your beneficiary will receive 75% of that. If your beneficiary dies first, you would jump from 47-46 up to 5303. With option C, your pension, you would be having a beneficiary amount of 50%. So your pension is still a little bit higher yet at $49.84. Your beneficiary would get half if you passed away first. If they pass away first, you jump up to maximum. And finally, with option D, your pension is at $51.49 because you're only leaving your beneficiary 25% or $1,287. If they passed away first, again, you would jump up to maximum. If you look at option 2 and compare it to option A, and if you look at option 3 and compare it to option C, the little difference in those two pension amounts is the cost for the pop-up. Because options 2 and 3 don't jump up to maximum, and options A, B, C, and D do. Okay? Any questions on the estimates and the options?
Don't see any. I think you can go to the next slide for the taxes.
Okay. Now, somebody was asking a question earlier about state taxes. You are subject to federal tax from day one. The only exception to that would be if it was an accidental death or disability, then you would not be subject to federal income tax until you reach a certain age. In terms of New Jersey income tax, after 2020, if your income, after the age of 62, if your income exceeds $100,000, all of your pension is taxable under the state law. However, until you receive, no matter what age you retire, until you receive a pension, cumulative pension, equal to what your total contributions were into the pension fund, you do not owe state income tax. So that's why it's important when you get that summary for your retirement and you see what your total contributions were and what your monthly contribution is, what your monthly pension check, gross pension check is, you divide the gross pension check into that total and you know how many months. Typically, it's about somewhere between 2 and 2.5 years. that you will be not subject to state income tax. As Denise said, if you move to another state right away, you're subject to their state. Whatever your income is, you're subject to the state law in the state in which you live. Okay?
Thank you, Bob. So loans, if you retire from any outstanding loan balance, you can pay the loan in full prior to receiving your benefits, or you can continue to pay your monthly loan amount and through your retirement. The loan repayment is taken out of your pension.
Oops, where'd it go? Here we are.
The retirement checklist, we give this to everybody, it's so important. 6 to 8 months before retirement, you should request a retirement estimate and attend a retirement seminar like you're doing now. 4 to 6 months before retirement, make sure you complete the application, provide the proof of age that we talked about already. It has to be uploaded through Emboss, employer's certification and receipt of the application. 2 months before retirement, the letter offering enrollment in the state health benefits program will be sent to you if you're eligible for it. And 1 month before retirement, you have the quotation of retirement allowance with the option, the loan balance payoff if you have any, and any outstanding purchase quote. I always remind people that for your district, make sure you check the contract, your district contract. Most districts, you have to give a 60-day notice to your district. And then remember, the district will then send your verification of salary to the pension board. 1 month before retirement is presented to the TPAF Board of Trustees, 30 days from approval date of the effective retirement date, or whichever is the later one, to change the option or cancel retirement, just like we talked about. You get that 30-day window. Canceling does not guarantee reemployment with the employer. That's so important. We've had members who did not check their inbox first. They put their information in through the district. They retired through their district, but the inbox said they had 2 more months to give. So it's important to check your inbox statement and know your personal benefit statement and what you have. Shortly after retirement, you're going to get a statement of retirement allowance, and you're going to get forms for withholding for the federal and the New Jersey state income tax. Direct deposit form, it's really a link right on Emboss. You'll see it says EFT link. That's where you can upload or add your information for direct deposit right through Emboss for your checks to be direct deposit. The first check is dated the first of the month or 30 days after TPAF approval, whichever is later. So most times it is 30 days, but there could be a difference. So again, it's whatever is later after the TPAF board have approved it. Conversion of life insurance, that's on your information. Remember, your group life insurance ends 31 days after you cease employment. So after you finish employment, 31 days, you have no group life insurance. You're retired, life insurance is there. So remember, you're paying 3.25%. You're eligible to continue your coverage by purchasing converted life insurance policy without the medical examination at your expense. Normally, I always say it's a little high. You can shop around. Your conversion is guaranteed through the prudential coverage and the amounts up to those while you're employed. But again, you talk to a prudential representative to see if that works for you. Purchase at the retirement reduced by amount of retired life insurance benefit. Special rules do apply in cases of deferred disability, termination, or leave of absence.
Okay.
Your retirement health benefits is for TPA Part 2. Some of you, I believe, may sign up already. At this time, we're going to hear from our.
Hold on. Hit the wrong one.
We're getting his up. Many of you know when you've talked to any of us, we always refer you to our awesome Mark McDonald. I've used him. He's phenomenal. He does all things Social Security. So even if you're not near that Social Security age of almost 60, but you're planning and you want to know more about Social Security, Mark McDonald is our expert in Social Security, and we refer all of our members because this is a benefit that you get, which is part of your resources and services here. So without further ado, I want to ask Mark McDonald to unmute himself and begin sharing his information for the Social Security retirement planning. Thanks, Mark.
Great.
one thing I want to jump in, Mark, as Social Security is getting cost of living adjustments, if you start looking down the road, you may see a point, and I want you to look carefully in the presentation he's going to make, because up until recently, I couldn't say this, but there's going to be a point where for some of you, your Social Security income is going to exceed your pension because of the cost of living adjustments the Social Security gets compared to your pension. So this is an important addition to what your retirement benefit is. So, okay, thanks, Mark.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Denise, and thank you, Bob. And it's great to see everybody again. I'm going to do 30 minutes of information in 5 or 6 minutes, okay? But the good news is, just as you meet with Bob and Denise and Rebecca, I also meet with you to go over your individual Social Security reports and some other retirement reports. So I'm going to move very quickly through this just in deference to time today. But these are important changes that have happened recently to Social Security and your 403B because of what's called the Secure 2.0 Act, which is a recent legislation that Congress passed for retirement. It's actually good for retirees. For most NJPSA members, you're going to have actually 3 retirement incomes. So Denise has been telling you about the pension. That's your pension. I'm going to talk a little bit about Social Security, but for those of you that have 403Bs, which are most of you, or other retirement accounts, at a certain age, you have to start taking that money out each year for the rest of your life, and it actually creates a third income stream for you. Unlike the pension, which is Denise is doing an elegant job saying how all the different options that you can take, and Bob has talked about that. In Social Security, you actually have 567 different choices between the ages of 62 and 70. 80% of Americans underclaim their benefits, and it's not their fault, because who knows 567 different options and what are the best? The good news is we have software to help you all. There's new rules that are impacting Social Security that we'll go over with you when we meet with you. The other thing is COVID closed all the local Social Security offices down. We're hearing now that some are opening, but many of them are still closed. So again, we're a big resource for you, whether the offices are open or closed. One of the myths I want to put to bed today is the myth that Social Security is broke. In fact, to the contrary, the Social Security Retirement Trust Fund today has a $3 trillion surplus. What we're hearing about in the news every day is that in 11 years, Social Security will go broke. And if Congress doesn't fix it, everybody on today's call and everybody in the United States, whether you've declared your benefit, whether you've started your Social Security benefit or not, is going to take a 23% pay cut. Congress is aware of this. They don't want this to happen. We certainly don't want it to happen, but this is what they're talking about. So it's not. So the reason why this is important, you don't want to choose your Social Security today because Social Security is broke. It's not broke, but Congress has to fix it in the next 11 years. As Bob was talking about, one of the things that you want to be mindful of is that for most of you, Social Security is going to be a $1 million plus benefit for you in retirement. Most of you, thank you. Most of you, if you've contributed over the course of your working career, will be around 3,300, 3,400, and it depends upon your age when you get to your Social Security full retirement age. Now, I don't have time to go into it in detail, but for everybody on today's call, so your Social Security, not the age you retire from work, but your Social Security retirement age is between the ages of 66 and 67. So let's say you contributed for most of your working career, you have 35 years that you contributed. With only 3.5% COLA, cost of living adjustment. So, earlier this year it was 9%. So we're only talking a modest 3.5%. You can see that you're going to collect over $500,000 in Social Security pension income in the first 10 years, almost $800,000 in 20 years of retirement, and over $1.1 million in 30 years of retirement. Thank you. Now, this is I'm going to show you the next couple slides are the most important. As we mentioned, you can start your Social Security benefit anywhere between the ages of 62 and 70. So that's an 8-year gap. So for example, if somebody wanted to start, in this example, start Social Security at age 62, they're going to collect $30,000, begin at $30,000, versus if they wait to their full retirement age, it's $40,000. You get an extra $10,000 a year the rest of your life. And if you wait till age 70, it goes up another $20,000. Now, there's an important thing called the break-even point, which, and this is what we help you with, which is people always say, well, Mark, if I wait till my full retirement age and don't take it at 62, I'm going to miss 4 or 5 years of income, which is $125,000 of lost Social Security. However, because your check is larger when you start later in life, we show you at what point in the future you catch up for the money you didn't collect and how much extra money you make. So again, this is a wonderful benefit that's available to all of you. Now, there's a reward for those of you, and this is in the green. If we go back a second, Bob, the green shows that each year you wait beyond your full retirement age, you get an 8% increase. So I always say, imagine you negotiate your own contract at work and you went to your boss and said, hey, for the next 4 years, you're going to give me an 8% increase plus cost of living adjustment. We can't do that, but you can with yourself when you decide when and how to take Social Security. Thank you, Bob. Now, be mindful that there's different Social Security rules based on your life stage, whether you're single, married, divorced, or widowed. I don't have time to go into all of them now, but these are the things that we help customize for you when we meet with you. It's really, really, really important that you understand and get a report run for your Social Security, when and how you want to take Social Security before you decide what pension option you want. And we're going to show you a couple examples why here in a second. One of the resources that we all have in terms of deciding how much money we're going to get in Social Security is your personal Social Security statements. These are the statements, remember, they used to mail to us every year, and now they want us to go online at ssa.gov to get it. Think of ssa.gov as the federal equivalent of MBOS. So you go to MBOS to try to get your pension information on your state pension. For your federal pension, which is Social Security, you go to ssa.gov, where you can download these statements. There's one thing we want to talk about here that these statements don't include. All right, thank you, Bob. And I think one more click. And that is that you need to add cost of living adjustment to your statements. When we get our personal statements, the government has no idea what future inflation is going to be, so they put it at 0. I'm going to show you an example of what Bob was talking about before of what happens to your Social Security pension check with a modest 3.5% cost of living adjustment going forward each year. But it's really important that when you look at these statements, for most of these statements underestimate what your benefits are going to be. And it's quite dramatic. And again, what we do, it's a member benefit, is we run customized reports based on your benefits to show you what your future income is going to look like. And you want to have that information before you decide when and how to take Social Security. Social Security cost of living adjustment. So remember, in 2011, up till 2011, your pensions, state pensions, increased with COLA, and then the state took it away in 2011. Your federal pension, in 1975, President Nixon and Congress said our federal pensions are going to keep pace with inflation. So since 1975, every year that inflation is announced for the upcoming year, we get an increase in Social Security. And this occurs to us before we start collecting our benefit, as well as after we start collecting our benefit. You can see it's averaged about 3.7% since 1975, but it jumps all around. Now, speaking of jumping all around, let's take a look at the next couple slides. So in 2022, we all got almost a 6% increase in our Social Security benefit. This year, so that was last year, this year, we all got almost 9%. So think about that. So the bad news is, a carton of eggs are up 70% and everything's, but your Social Security benefit is keeping pace with what the average with the consumer price index, which is 9%. So this is really important. And this is what Bob was talking about before, which will show you the importance of cost of living adjustment and why you want to understand this when you're looking at deciding when and how to take Social Security and your pension someday. I think if we hit it one more time, Bob, we'll take a look at, and one more time, sorry, it just takes a second. Oh, one more. Okay. So this is what Bob was talking about before. If somebody waited to their full retirement age and their Social Security benefit was $40,000, if this was your pension, that's your state pension, that's going to stay $40,000 the rest of your life. And of course, that's what happens to your pension. However, this is what Einstein and Buffett said is the most powerful formula in the universe, which is compound interest, which is just 3.5 or 3% every year compounding on money. In 10 years, your federal pension will grow to about $56,000. This is at 3.5% cost of living. In 20 years, it jumps to almost 80,000. And this is the inflection point for many of you, which Bob was talking about. 30 years in retirement or well before then, most of you are going to see your federal pension or Social Security surpass your state pension. Okay, so it's a really powerful thing to be mindful of. We run reports to show you at what point that happens or will it happen. So it's, again, all this really valuable information you want to have in hand before you make the most informed decision on your pension and when you take Social Security. Thank you, Bob. So this is an example here where if you take a look at your pension, this is what we showed before, right? And this is another example where your pension starts at 83,000, 20, 30 years later, it's still 83,000. But your Social Security at some point is going to hit an inflection point that could go past that. Here's why this is really particularly important if you're married. Thank you, Bob. Well, so actually, one of the things, and we had talked about this before, those of you that I've met with know that these are a real treasure trove and really valuable reports. Those that I haven't met with yet, we run custom reports that show you how you can maximize, get the most out of your Social Security income as it combines with your pension decision. We show you the break-even points. We show you how much you make. Thank you, Bob. In the next slide. We also talk about taxes. We get a lot of questions. We've already had questions earlier about how taxes are applied to your state pension. Well, the same ruling, as Bob had mentioned and Denise had mentioned, applies to your Social Security pension in the sense that from $1, everybody has to pay federal tax on their Social Security. However, there's 37 states in the United States where you don't, depending on where you retire, where you don't have to pay state taxes. And I'm happy to say the great state of New Jersey is one of those 37 states where you can retire in New Jersey and not pay state taxes on Social Security. However, I meet with many administrators that are retiring outside of New Jersey. And one of the things you want to be mindful of is what state are you moving to? Because there's 13 states that tax Social Security benefits. We don't have time to go into this now, but basically it depends on how much you pay. It's based on whether you're a single tax filer or a joint tax filer and what your total income is. Thank you, Bob.
Oops.
All right. The other penalty you want to be mindful of is for many of you, and we hear this often, is when you retire, you want to work part-time, okay? One of the things you want to be mindful of is that if you start Social Security before your full retirement age, which again is between 66 and 67, and when I meet with you, I'll tell you exactly what it is and how this applies. But you want to be mindful, even if you go back to work and work part-time and make a little bit of money, if you make this year, and it keeps going up a little bit, but if you make more than $21,240 and collect your Social Security benefit before you're 66 or 67, your full retirement age, they're going to take it away from you. So I meet with not usually NJPSA members, but some of my other clients I'll meet with, and they'll say, Mark, I was collecting my benefit for 2 years and all of a sudden I'm not getting any anymore. The first question I ask is, did you go back to work? And people always say, yeah, I went back, but it's only part-time. It's just a little bit of money. I said, how much you make? It's only $35,000. Well, guess what? You trigger the earnings test. Your IRS tax filings are now linked directly with the Social Security Administration. So every year they know exactly whether you went back to work, and they'll stop you and freeze your paycheck, Social Security, until you reach your full retirement age. So you don't want to go through that. And we help you all make sure that you don't incur the earnings test or this penalty. This is really important, which is if you're married. So Denise has talked about, I've talked about what are your survivor options when you choose Social Security. You can take the maximum and have no survivor benefit. You can go with option A or option 2 and leave 100%. And then there's options in between. Social Security is real simple. You only have one, when you're married, you only have one survivor option. When we're both alive, we're collecting 2 checks. We're collecting one each. Upon the death of the first spouse, doesn't matter who predeceases who, the surviving spouse gets the larger of the 2 checks, but the smaller check goes away. Now, here's why this is important. Occasionally, we'll meet with administrators where we haven't met with them ahead of time. They've chosen the maximum where they want the largest benefit throughout their career, right? I mean, throughout their retirement. But if they predecease their spouse gets 0. The thing they didn't calculate is that while they're both collecting Social Security, upon that death, if the pensioner dies, not only does a surviving spouse lose 100% of the pension, they also lose a Social Security check. So we see situations where you can lose, the surviving spouse will lose 75, 80, 65, 70, 75, 80% of their guaranteed income that they received when they were both alive. That's a real shock to people. So again, you want to be mindful of that. We help you with that. So we run these great reports for you. We base them on your personal benefits, whether you're single, married, divorced, or widowed. We just take your benefits, put it into the software, put in life expectancy. You can choose life expectancy. That's the big unknown. Thank you, Bob. We'll go to the next one. We run these really great, valuable reports that Denise was talking about. They're just game changers that shows you, we run 3 or 4 different scenarios. We give you real math to help you make really intelligent decisions. To coordinate with your pension decisions. We show you the break-even point that if you don't take it right away. We also model it and show you that 3.5% inflation, how much income you're going to get each and every year in retirement. And for most people, we see married couples that in their mid-80s are getting $180,000 a year in Social Security income. I mean, it's crazy just looking at how that grows. So again, these are really a treasure trove of information and great reports that are all free for you as a member benefit. Now, the last thing I'll talk about, just it'll take 1 second, is the Secure 2.0 Act. This affected your 403Bs. This is another area that we help you with. Thank you, Bob. Basically, your 403Bs, you have to start taking money out of these. This is your 3rd income stream in retirement. They changed the rules January 1st of this year, based on your date of birth. You have to start taking, it used to be 70.5, then it was 72, now it's 73. And if you were born in 1960 or later, you have to start taking it at 75. But you want to be mindful of how much money comes out of your benefit, out of your 403Bs in terms of required minimum distributions, because for most of you, it increases your taxes. So again, this is an area where we help you mitigate taxes or help you plan around your forecasted RMDs. But the rules have changed here. Thank you, Bob. So we put together this in a great comprehensive package. Those of you that we've worked with, you know, this is just an unbelievable treasure trove of information. It has your income each and every year from your pensions, your Social Security, shows what your expenses are, your federal taxes, your state taxes, what is your income each and every year, shows you cash flow, and it really helps you put together a comprehensive worry-free retirement plan so that you can make, again, the most informed decisions, and then again, not have any financial stress, and always look back and say, yes, I made the best pension decision, and yes, I made the best Social Security decision, because you had all the information up front from NJPSA, which is another great benefit of being a member of this great association. So I think that's it. So the great news is for all of you, just as you meet with Denise and Rebecca and Bob, you meet one-on-one with me. We initially do it on the phone. I also come to meet with you. We do Zoom. Just Chrissy's going to send you this report. I mean, this form. Just tell us when's the best time for me to reach out to you. I'll work around your schedule. We'll then get your individual Social Security benefits. We'll run your report for you, and then we can do some planning beyond that. So again, I look forward to helping each and every one of you. I see some friends that are on here today that have already been able to get this information for, and look forward to helping the rest of you too. So thank you, Denise, and thank you, Bob.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark. That was very, very thorough, very detailed, and a lot of information we know that we're providing for you today. Again, this recording will be sent out to all of you that are registered. We thank you for listening and for your time. If you have any additional questions, feel free to send them to us. We do have the information for Mark also in the chat at mark@advwp.com, and also for us at NJPSA. I'm
Great. Thank you,
checking
Denise.
to see any other questions that we have right now.
There's a question about veteran retirement. Someone wants to know if they've served. Don't you have to serve in a campaign or during wartime for it to count towards your pension? They had to purchase their years of service, as they were told their time in the military didn't count without the payment.
Yes,
Yes.
that's correct. Yes. And I answered that person directly. My apologies. I thought I did it to everybody, but yes, you have to be in the combat or wartime to qualify. And yes, part 2, when is part 2 on health benefits? That's on,
It's on the 31st, but the workshop is full right now. So unless we have some cancellations.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the cause? I want to thank everybody for taking the time out to come to our presentation. TPAF Part 1, Part 2 will be in a few weeks. Again, please feel free to register. Any questions, reach out to us at NJPSA. Myself, Rebecca, or Bob are always available to assist you. Chrissy, also, she provides our appointments for us. And I want to say thank you. Good afternoon. And just double checking one last time for any questions. Oh, you're welcome, John. Yes, your spouses are always welcome to join in the appointments. That's correct. I had a couple here yesterday. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great afternoon. Take care.
Okay, thank you, Denise.